members, YouTube isn't working again for some reason. And we are talking to our IT suppliers a lot about this. But we are able to record the meeting, then we'll upload the recording tomorrow. People will have access.
Yeah.
So still think about what you say before you say it, because it would still be uploaded
Well,
tomorrow.
you're not going to edit it afterwards. Then.
No. It's for officers, not for council.
I refuse to think about what it's saying.
I think refuse to think about what you're going to say before you say it.
Yes, especially that. comment.
It's unusual.
Well, I don't know why it turned up on my screen, but it was technical difficulties. And they seem to disappear.
To say there for the papa.
Good.
So I'm okay now, but it turned up technical difficulties. And we couldn't use the,
Yeah,
I don't think anyone else has had the problem. Anyway, we're ready.
Back to your turn.
We'll look at that afterwards, if need be. Right, good evening, councillors and officers. Welcome to the January the 26th Finance and General Purposes Committee. First of all, we have the apologies for absence, which I've got Matthew Neal, Louisa Reardon and Philip Crawley now. Oh, sorry, and
Kenson Gurney.
again, thank you very much. Anyone else? No? Okay. Thank you for that. Declarations of interest. Anyone got any declarations to declare now? If not, at the time anything arises. Public questioning time. We've not received any and we've got no public present. Next is to approve an accurate record of the minutes of the meeting the Finance and General Purposes Committee held on the Monday the 17th of November. Everyone okay with the minutes? I'll put your hand up. Yeah, thank you. Sign those. Thank you. Next is the action tracker. If we could go through that for me, please.
Thank you. So, members, everything's completed. So the carbon assessment report and the carbon action plan, we've agreed that reports will now be reported through the compliance manager's report rather than in a separate report to this committee, but you will still receive that information. And the budget report is included in your papers, and the Rotary Club will be added to the agenda for the meeting. It's not though, is it?
It's a
Not
prize.
tonight.
That will be the next one.
Sometimes.
The Rotary Club is on.
Oh, I take that back. I didn't read my papers properly. So you will receive that update from the Rotary Club at the end of the meeting. And Dunstable Pride have requested a representative formally now from the council, and that recommendation is going to full council to agree to provide a representative and to agree the nominated representative for full council. Good. Just on those points for information, full council will also receive a request to nominate another member and a vice chair for the personnel committee. Councillor Jones isn't with us, but the other committee places will leave until the next full council, because obviously we need to wait till somebody's voted in to otherwise put them on committees.
Okay, thank you. Then we have the downside roof tender from Becky.
Thank you very much, Chair.
There we go.
Hopefully everybody's had a chance to have a look at the reports that I've prepared for you this evening. I will happily take you through some of the key points of it. So the purpose of this decision report is for members to approve the recommended contractor to undertake the repairs that are required on Downside Community Centre, and for the full release of the full balance of the reserves to cover the costs of those repairs. Some background then, as members are aware, Downside Community Centre roof has been on our radar needing to be repaired when we had the first element undertaken a few years ago. We knew that we needed to put away monies into the reserve to ensure for us to have these repairs in place in the next kind of 2 to 3 years, and that brings us to where we are currently. We now have a reserve that totals 79,769, and the proposal for this report is that members approve the release of the full balance of the reserves. There has been some leaks since over the winter period, unsurprisingly, and so there will also be some needs to make some repairs to the kitchen ceiling inside, as that is a result of the leak that we have just mentioned. So we have received a good number of tenders, 5 in total, and all except one could be considered for scoring. They've supplied all the information that was required. We have scored it as shown in section 3.2 of the report, with weighting shown in the tables attached. Of the 5 bidders, we found that there was enough information for us to score, and so worked with our contract provider to understand who was the best provider based on the paperwork supplied. The proposed contractor, bidder C, both had the highest score in terms of evaluation. They are also the most local bidder with considerable experience, and provided us with robust method statements, etc. They can also deliver the works within the timeline that we are looking at. There are financial implications as shown in section 4 of the report. As you can see, there's quite a range in terms of values, but bidder C came in within budget and provides us with the reassurance that the works can be undertaken both within the budget that we have as well as the timescales. Relating to our policy, corporate plan, etc., obviously we know we've had this on our radar for some time. It meets all of our requirements internally. As mentioned, for health and safety, the bidder C provided us with all the relevant documentation, which makes us believe that they will adhere to the relevant health and safety legislation. They provided their environmental and biodiversity policy, and therefore we are making a recommendation to members that they award the tender to bidder C. I'm happy to take any questions that members may have on this.
Thank you, Rachel. One quick question now. What is the timetable for the repairs?
That they would be completed within this financial year.
Okay, any other questions for Rachel?
Becky.
Becky, sorry. I apologise.
That's okay.
We carry over names on a bit of paper here. Becky, no more questions? Okay, in which case we'll go to the approval stage. For members to approve the recommended contractor to undertake the roof repair, all those in favour? Thank you, that's unanimous. And for members to release the full balance of the reserves, 316, those in favour? Okay, thank you. It's approved on both counts, thank you. Right, and then Christmas light tender.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you. So again, members, this is a decision report where we are seeking approval for a recommended supplier, bidder A, as part of our tender process, and for members to make a decision on whether or not to extend the Christmas lighting scheme used in the recommended supplier. This was at a request for consideration by the Community Services Committee when we went out to tender. There are then just 2 decisions in which to take if members are wishing to extend the scheme, and I can go through them in more detail. But just some background on this topic then. The Town Council has been managing the Christmas lights in the town centre for many, many years. We work in a way where we have an annual budget, but we also have a reserve, knowing that because we own the Christmas lights, we do find that we then find ourselves some years, because they're either the age or that we've had particularly poor weather, usually windy conditions, that we do have to then replace some of those items. So we currently have a reserve that stands at 19,000. With just over 9,000 committed, leaves us with 10,500 in reserve, but we will be placing, should members approve the budget, additional monies of £7,000 in April 26. That does leave us with a reserve of £17,500 come April 26. Just like the other report I've just mentioned, the tenders that were received, in this case we only received 2 tenders, were then scored as shown in table 3.2 with the relevant weighting there. All the bidders did provide us with enough information to enable us to score them. The proposed provider is bidder A. Bidder A provided us with the highest score. They are also most local to Dunstable. They also have extensive experience of delivering Christmas light schemes. They provided a robust method statement, health and safety related documentation, and also they employ 20 people, which shows some resilience and scope for managing Christmas lighting schemes when it comes to both install, repairs and removals. Section 3.10 of the report makes reference to the extension of the Christmas lighting scheme. So members will recall when Community Services Committee requested that we at least have some consideration and understand what the implications would be should we choose to extend the Christmas lighting scheme. The specific areas of where the Christmas lights will be located would be dependent on a number of factors. The key one would be around the lamp columns and the testing that would be required to make sure that they are suitable and can take the weight of the Christmas lighting decorations. But with a view that at each gateway there would be a minimum of 2 lights. So we're looking at where the welcome signs are on Luton Road, London Road, Tring Road, and then High Street South. Further down, either where the welcome sign is, and if they aren't suitable there, then maybe slightly further up where we've got the crossroads with towards Houghton Regis crossroads. It's, as I say, the locations do have to vary. We couldn't take into account here because of the stress testing that needs to undertake. We couldn't be specific at this point, but as I say, a minimum of 2 decorations at each of those locations. As you can see from the table on section 4 of the report, the extension, just double checking I've got the right page, apologies. No, sorry, section 3 of the report. So you can see that bidder A and bidder B have broken down what they feel the extension would look like cost-wise, and bidder A, which is also a recommended provider, does provide a much more in budget design for an extension scheme should members wish to proceed with that. Bidder B does increase costs quite considerably. Section 4 of the report refers to financial implications. So overall, both of the bids were in budget, with bidder A being slightly more, but it does still leave us with a remainder of just over £13,000 to cover any additional costs, call outs, that kind of thing that we receive in the course of a Christmas season. Bidder B does relieve us with slightly more, £20,000 available should for those incidentals. As mentioned, the corporate plan policy, this meets all of the requirements within our corporate plan and objectives there. Health and safety wise, both bidders provided us with health and safety documentation. However, bidder B's is all based on paper, as they've never actually had any practical experience of managing a Christmas lighting scheme, whereas bidder A was also able to provide more practical evidence of how they manage Christmas lighting schemes safely, which certainly gave some reassurances to the officers that were undertaking the scoring. The other elements there just showing around equalities and diversity and around environmental policies, etc., which gave no cause of any concerns with the recommendations contained within the report. I'm happy to take any questions that members may have or any further requests for clarification. Thank you.
Michelle?
Thanks very much, Becky. I've just got 2 questions. The first question, I'm not sure whether you can answer if it's confidential, but the existing supplier, presumably we had a contract with an existing supplier. Were they one of the bidders or not?
They were. Am I allowed to say anything, Paul? I'm looking at you now.
I was about to say we might just go to confidentiality.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there might be.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I should ask my second question and then we can
Yeah.
come back to the first one. And then the second question, I just briefly, I'm not on the communities group. So what was the main reason for asking for the extension?
I can answer that.
I answer that.
It was me, basically. I had complaints previously from residents that when you get further out of town, Christmas dies, and that was the general feeling that all the Christmas lights and everything Christmassy is all contained within the central mass, which is the town centre. And I've wanted to, for years, even with events and stuff, like spread stuff out to the further echelons of the town. And so it was my suggestion that we look into this, or an option of bringing it to the shops in the different areas, quadrants of the town. But I'm happy with this proposal. Yeah, that's why.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks. John?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I don't, in 1.2, the actions recommended 1.2, 1.21, 1.2.1, 1.2.2. I don't really understand the difference between them because they mention the same figures. So I don't see there's any major difference, if someone could explain.
So in both cases, the council spends the same amount of money. In the first example, because the preferred supplier requires £13,000 in year one. In the first example, we put the additional money onto the precept. So the precept that was in front of you later down the agenda would have to go up to pay that money. Whereas in the second example, we use the existing reserves and the reserve we're going to pay into instead to pay that money. So you then don't have to put the precept up. You end up with less reserves. It's a bit more risky going forward, but it'll definitely be okay for a year or two. So the whole thing is slightly predicated on the lights being okay and there not being a huge amount that we're required to spend on repairs and call outs during the year. So there's a little bit of risk in there, but
I think the chart that came up later as well was a bit clearer that we could do it all within budget anyway. So that's the key thing.
So following on from that question, then, in terms of the idea of it not being in terms of it being drawn from the reserve is more risky, am I misunderstanding one of the graphs here that plots out the costs over 5 years? Is that subject to variation? Because if that's a confirmed set of costings for the next 5 years, then in theory, I don't see what the risk is.
If I can jump in, I think I've understood that question correctly in terms of the overall cost of the actual whole scheme of 81,820, or are we talking about the extension?
The annual costs looking at this
of the whole scheme of
yes.
81,000. Yes, so that's the cost before we then have like call outs. When we have particularly bad weather, we might find that a festoon has come down or that one of the decorations has been twisted and is looking dangerous. So we'll have things like call out charges that will then that will be cost on top of that, which is where we're needing to have that dip into the extra budget that we have, that £90,000 that we've got available. So it's really hard to tell. At the moment, we seem to have had quite a good Christmas year this year, but I've had years where we've had significant strong winds, and because we own the Christmas lights and we don't rent them, there have been some significant bills that you just could not foresee. I have asked the companies about how early do they need to put them up and how quickly can they get them taken down, because obviously if we reduce the amount of time that they're up, we reduce the likelihood of them getting damaged as well, because I'm acutely aware of those additional costs that we just cannot calculate for.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
That question's been clarified. So
okay. So just a sort of reminder on the extension, I think we're looking at 4 gateways which are out of town, and then once we check the lampposts and etc. in the town centre, we may extend some of the.
I don't think we'll do any in the town centre. That we'll be looking at they'd be on the periphery. I don't think the scheme itself would be extended. Okay. The only thing that I believe that is being considered is whether or not what we call P or twinkle lights can go into the living pillars to kind of bring them to life a little bit during the darker winter months. But otherwise, no, the plan would be that we try and enhance those gateway points, but it might be, for example, that we can't get them every gateway point. There may not be pillars that we can place them on, and we also obviously need to get Central Bedfordshire Council's approval as well. So some of this is kind of with some caveats.
Okay, well, at least we get the lights out of the town centre to some extent. That's great.
Absolutely.
Okay, right, in which case we'll go to the votes for members to approve the recommended supplier for Christmas lighting. All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. And for members to make a decision on whether to extend the lighting scheme using the recommended supplier. So it's going to be, is that the same thing?
Well, no, somebody needs
reserves or not.
121 and 122.
What you said, going back that far, 1.2.2 made more sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we do it within budget.
You certainly don't want to put up the council tax.
No, definitely don't want to. So,
So all those in favour of 1.2.2?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If
Thank
I may
you. Thank you,
say my
Becky.
goodbyes. Thank you ever so much, members, for your
Cheers.
time. Bye-bye
hi,
now.
Becky.
Right.
Now we're on to the finance report from Lisa.
Thank you. Good evening, members. So you all received the finance report. This had a mixture of 2 items to note and then a couple of approvals. So I'll just run through and summarise the report for you. So for 1.1 and item 3, the summary provided at Appendix 1, members have been provided with a revenue budget position as at 30th of November. At the point of writing this report, it currently at that time stood at a year-end forecast of £89,723. This is based on known requirements and commitments at the time of writing the report, hasn't changed since, but obviously it's subject to change depending on unknowns. So at the last meeting of this committee, members also requested officers review the earmarked reserves as part of preparation for setting the budget for the next financial year. And as shown at Appendix 2, officers have been given a brief commentary on the future requirement of each reserve for information. This has highlighted that one of the reserves, the Neighbourhood Development Reserve, is currently unrequired, has a balance of £12,668. Obviously, members took the decision last year to not continue at this time with a neighbourhood plan. So as part of the report, I've put together the year-end forecast underspend with the Neighbourhood Development Reserve for year-end balances. So just moving on, as shown at 1.2 and detailed at item 4, members have been asked to approve the allocation of that underspend, so the 2 totals together, and that is for 31,000 for the staffing cost for the detached youth service provision to run for next financial year, £5,000 one-off cost for an access door to be put in at the rear of the bandstand for the performance area. That is one of the corporate plan objectives. It will just ease the events programme, improve much needed accessibility. Then there's £30,000 requested to put aside for estimate works for repairing the roofs outside where the Grove House Gardens stores are that the Rangers currently use and work from. The extent of the roof works are not yet known, but it's quite extensive. And then the balance, as it stands, would be £36,391 to be allocated specifically to use for professional fees, ongoing required legal specialist fees known. Especially knowing that we've gone overspent this year on those figures, and we will continue to because of the outstanding things in progress, leases, legal concerns, etc. And then just moving on, as noted above, items 1.3 and 5 and appended to the report, members were provided with the earmarked reserve summary. And then just moving on to 1.4 and more detail at item 7, members are provided the council's investment balances at as at 31st of December. And you'll all see that the majority of council funds are still held with CCLA investment account to gain maximum interest on our monies. And then 1.5 and more detailed at item 6 of the report, members are requested to approve expenditure of the total being £9,038. As mentioned, there's no specific national celebration for the 5,000 element of the civic hospitality budget for 2026-27. So there's no, as I say, no specific national celebration planned for 2026. Obviously, as Dunstable was proudly representing the Anglia Region Britain and Bloom finals in 2026 in the large town category, officers are requesting that the 5,000 of that budget be used for enhancement of town centre raised beds, the large street planters, rain gardens, planted borders. That would be, if approved, done in time for the 2026 campaign. And in addition, there's also a request for approval of a residual balance of £4,038 from the developers contributions reserve. That's been a long-standing balance to also be used in conjunction with that £5,000, as well as including replanting of the planters along Court Drive to improve those. And then just moving on, 1.6 and item 9 of the report, members will be pleased that following the report last committee about the delay for the completion of the external audit for last financial year, it has now been finalised back in December, and members will be pleased to note that that's another successful audit for the council. I just mentioned briefly in my report too that there are some changes expected for this financial year, the requirements that will be asked of the council from the auditor. I put a slight summary in the report, but I'll provide more information on what they request, but we're confident that we meet all the requirements anyway. That's it. Any questions?
Okay, yes, Michelle.
Thank you. So you've given a detailed explanation. However, I probably just need to make just ask a question of the connection between 1.5 and the summary later on about what that means for this year and next year. Sorry, could you just explain that one more time?
Yeah, so the civic hospitality budget is made up of two elements. It's been that for about 7 or 8 years now, where members back then decided to add on the £5,000 national celebration to the civic hospitality budget. That was for any significant celebrations, 4,000 of it being a contribution to the beacon lighting to the National Trust, and then £1,000 tends to be spent on street parties for members of the public to celebrate along with that. So that's where that 5,000 is. Obviously we keep it in the budget because most years there is something.
So it's already in the budget.
It's already in the budget. So for 26-27, when looking at what that would be put towards, this seemed like a really relevant and celebration of the town to be used for, as there was no other requirement for it in 2026. And then the other element is the £4,038 that's just left in a developer's contribution earmarked reserve, just a balance of works that were done from Section 106 monies from many years ago.
That's often referred to in relation to French's Avenue and that what has been a 106, it may be a different 106.
Yeah, it's a different one.
Different 106.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Thank you for that.
Okay, any other questions? No. Okay, in which case we'll go to the votes. Obviously going through the list of things we've been provided with budgetary position. So the first is request approval of allocation and expenditure of the current financial year forecast underspends, which was detailed in 1.2. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Then we've noted the council's earmarked reserves. No questions on those. Provide details of current investments has been done, and then request approval of the expenditure from civic hospitality budget, developers contribution, which has just been questioned. All those in favour Anything on that? Thank you. That's carried. And we've noted the external audit, which is such a relief to get that. That's been great. So moving on, thank you for that. And now we have the budget report, please.
Thank you. So moving on to the budget proposal report for 26-27. So as part of this report, members have been provided with detail on the corporate services element of the proposed budget for financial year 26-27, following the similar reports going to community services and grounds and environmental services committees, both receiving their respective budget proposals at the meetings earlier this month. Following the first cycle of meetings back in November to discuss the budget proposals for 26-27, the budget has been amended and updated. It's taken account of further information received together with updated requirements known since we first presented this budget. The proposed budget is appended to the report for information. The budget proposed now takes account of a number of factors detailed in the report, so just taking account of Bedfordshire Pension Fund's reduction on the required employees' contributions from April 2026, an adjustment to the business rates to cut for all sites, which has come out of the autumn budget announcements, and then Priory House opening has been brought forward to slightly earlier by a couple of months, together with additional requirements known within the corporate service area, i.e. the health and safety professional fees. The proposed budget for services, service areas and precept requirement is £611,546, which is an increase of 7.92% on the current year's budget. This is based on the Band D property in Dunstable, calculated on that, and the report has detailed the increase per band for information. As we know and mentioned previously, Band D, most properties in Dunstable aren't Band D, so we'll pay slightly cheaper than the Band D properties. The report also details contributions to reserve, which were also provided within the finance report presented earlier. And then in addition, members have been provided with the total outstanding loans and associated repayments due in the next financial year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay.
The new capital tax base contingency, the £63,000. What is the plan with that money? Is that being, well, rather than me guess?
So there are a number of risks which we've identified and shared with you, which are the new cemetery will certainly go over budget in the coming year. This building, we're about to have the structural survey done on it.
Insurance claim.
And possible insurance claims. So those things added together, and plus the increased legal fees that we've faced and may continue to face, particularly around the cemetery. I don't know which of those will spend some of that money. Now, hopefully we wouldn't spend all of that money in the coming year, and hopefully this time next year most of it will be there, and then we can decide what to do with it. But when we're carrying those significant risks, it would be much wiser, I would suggest, to put that into reserve, and then we will come to you. If we need to spend it, we still have to come to you to say that we need to spend it, so we can't just name it that vaguely and then spend it at our choice. So it would, if there was expenditure, would come before you as members. But those are the reasons in our heads of why we need an additional amount in the coming year.
So to be clear, that's a pot of money that we are holding on to as a hedge against potential risks that we may face this year. And in the event that we come to the end of the year and we've not spent all of it, that could go towards something else if we're no longer facing big risks or what have you. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions?
We talked before about waste disposal and waste disposal across all the service departments. Is there any more about that? You said that at one point, because waste disposal is noted within all the directorates, so to say, but there's loads of different areas, and there was a mention at one point that they will all be amalgamated into one contract. that would go out to tender and that could possibly save us some money? Or did I dream all that?
So no, you didn't dream all that. Red Chair. We did tender out last year, and we combined all our waste services into one contract. So we didn't make the saving we'd hoped to make, but we achieved the best price that was available from the market at that point. So the budget is now based on an accurate budget we received from the current waste contract provider.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, in which case we'll go to the various votes. So we've considered and commented on the draft budget, fees and charges for next year. For members to consider and comment on the proposed budget for council fees, charges, taking into account any comments. To make recommendations to full council accordingly. Members to consider and comment on proposed services. We've done that. Oh, actually, we ignored that then, have we?
Proposed budget.
Oh, it's the proposed budget. Okay, yeah, so we're doing a vote on the proposed budget. So all those in favour of the proposed budget? Okay, that's carried. Thank you for that report. Now we move on to clients and we welcome in Kareem for the first meeting. Thank you. Coming along. We'll be pleased to receive a report.
So at 1.1, Dunstable Town Council received their Cyber Essentials annual accreditation in December. 2.1 is an update on ongoing works for Grove House. Moving on to 2.2, the marriage venue licence for Grove House has been approved and we have a wedding fair on the 14th of February, which has received a lot of interest from customers and vendors. We are currently at 2.3 reviewing leases. At 3.1, I have included a quotation that remained outstanding from November's FGB committee. So I've put that in there. Food waste contracts are now in place for Grove House, Priory House and Bennett Splash Park. And then 2.1. So scoping of CCTV in collaboration with the Grounds Antisocial Behaviour Working Group has been paused. Discussions are pending with focus on high priority safety projects. Moving to 4.2, Worknest, the Council's Health and Safety Support Service working well. We have a small number of corrective actions to achieve 100%. Everything, any questions?
I will ask one question very briefly first. What would be the first date of a wedding if we were to hold one? Are we ready to rumble or?
Yes. We've actually had a booking
We have.
for the 3rd of March.
Oh, wow. That's great.
And I haven't even seen the venue yet.
Wow, that's great. Thanks for that. Right, Councillor Atwell, Richard.
Yeah, just a quick one. Welcome, Corinne, to it sounds like we could put a good report together already, so very impressed. But welcome. Just one quick query on the fire alarm system recommendations there. Consider upgrading the fire alarm system to include smoke detectors and heat sensors. Have we got not got smoke detectors in the buildings in yet?
It was to increase.
Oh, to increase, right?
Sorry.
Okay. I was just a bit concerned.
Oh, so with regards to the weddings, the upcoming weddings, do we know when all the stuff on the side of the building is going to be done? So like that we don't have all the horrible scaffolding it is a massive eyesore.
I think I will direct that question if I may.
Yeah, and I'll answer that question, members.
Redirect that question if I may.
The short answer is we don't know because, as the report says, we're currently having a very thorough structural survey of the building done. They've been and done part one. We're now waiting on the actual survey coming through. When we get that survey come through, that will then enable us to agree the next phases of work. We will then submit a planning application to CBC because the building's listed. We need listing building consent before we do anything. And we, because of the nature of the problems we found there, we thought it was like us just like by like. But actually we then uncovered issues which mean we would need planning consent to resolve the issues that were identified. And rather than, given that CBC have time difficulties in getting responses on listed planning consents, and their published time I think is 12 weeks anyway, the intention is that we will get the structural survey, put in a planning consent request for the whole thing that we need to do the building, and then it's in and it's done, and then we can do it bit by bit, and that will then enable us to do the first bit rather than do the first bit, think that we know what we need to apply for, get that in, wait for ages, then think actually that wasn't quite right, we need to do this, then we go round and round. And at that point, when we got the planning consent, then we will instruct the works and then it'll be able to come down. I know it looks horrible, and we walk in the building every day and we see it looking horrible and feel it every day, but it is the cheaper and safer option to keep the scaffolding up than to try and do a quick fix. And to be honest, also paying the cost of striking the scaffolding and putting it back up again is worse than just paying to keep it up there. So it's the wiser thing to do to keep the scaffolding there and then do it properly in the right order, unfortunately. And the only thing we can say about weddings is we're being very honest with people about, look, this is the building, it's the room you're going to come into, this is what you will walk out, so people know what they're coming into.
Anybody else wants to? I just want to follow up question.
As well, so.
Yeah, I know when we were talking, we said to some extent the fact that the scaffolding is at the front of the building doesn't necessarily detract from the photo opportunity at the rear. Do you happen to know whether any of the proposed works might impact the back, or is it just likely to stay on the visible?
We do need to do works on the back.
Okay.
But I would imagine they would be fairly quick, a matter of weeks at the most to get scaffolding up, because by then we'll know exactly what we need to do. I mean, people have been up there. We've had cherry pickers out twice. We've had a thing as well.
I'm just thinking for the venue bookers, it probably is worth just saying that although they might think that it's currently there, the worst would be to sell a wedding thinking you've got your photo opportunity, but you haven't.
Yeah, we'll manage that really quickly.
Okay, right.
Would the photo opportunity be at the front anyway? So you've not got to.
No, it will be added.
You've got the road. It's got to be at the back, isn't it? I think it's what we used to do. Isn't it?
That's what I was married here, and that's what they do. They lead you out through the conservatory door sort of stuff, and you go and take pictures out back.
Okay, so
just a suggestion. In terms of the wedding fair, are you going to have an opportunity for those photos that to be used to market the venue? Okay, so we'll have at least a photographer.
Yeah, I think it's the one vendor that we're struggling to get, actually, a photographer to come and advertise that they do weddings. But Jackie is actively trying to source somebody local. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
I know someone who lives locally who does wedding.
Okay.
Now he says.
I think it's more the mirror.
And it's also an opportunity for different photographers to actually
come and advertise it.
Come and advertise their business as well.
Everyone that Jackie's contacted has been really keen, so it's really positive, and they're all local vendors. So
good. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Corinne, for that report. Next up is marketing and communication report from Rachel.
Chair, good evening, members. Dunstable Town Council has reached another milestone on Instagram and has reached over 1,000 followers. The next target will be reaching 16,000 followers on Facebook as of today, we've got 15,527 followers. TikTok followers are also increasing as well. As you can see from the last report, we've got an increase of 132 more followers on TikTok. And as you can see from the insights, the use of video and posts are performing well, doing stories and engaging our audience that way. If we just go on to point 3, the website is running smoothly and there's nothing to report of any issues. 3.2, officers are currently in the process of an auditing of the website for accessibility and putting together an accessibility statement. Point 5, talk of the town. The Watson edition is currently in the process of being distributed to households. There was no advertisers in this edition, but Osborne, Morris and Morgan solicitors have recently inquired about advertising opportunities. So that's hopefully a positive. Point 6, if just go to the Dartford Community Lottery, we're actively running campaigns throughout January and February to encourage more players and good causes to register. As you'll see from the report, you would have received the appendices for the social media policy and the new film and photography policy. Are there any questions? That's the next.
Are there any questions on those reports?
Not on the reports.
Are there any questions in general on the topic? One of the things that actually, while you think about that, are we going to suggest to the people coming on to the wedding exhibition to advertise in our Talk of a Town? And maybe for special rates or something.
Question? Something to consider.
We'll consider that.
I was just going to say, actually, on the back of that, what you could do, I don't know how numbers are going to go for people wanting to come along to this, but what I've seen other similar sort of things before is that they had like a raffle type thing where people have said that, you know, you can offer these sort of prizes. That could be one of them or something like that, and different things. And obviously that gets email addresses and to people to build up quite a good contact list for future events as well. So it might be something to be considered.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, in which case, thank you for the report.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, there was one more question. Just remembered. Do we get any feedback on good or bad on the actual latest website?
No, everything's running smoothly, no negative.
It's quiet, that's normally good there.
We have had this discussion in the office chair that actually we haven't had any complaints about it, which in the grand scheme, it's an improvement on what we did have. And actually, if people aren't happy, they would let us know. It is the difference that the stats tell us is when we set the website up, we specifically paid them to do it for mobile phones because most people are accessing through mobile phones, and now 75% of people are accessing through a desktop. So who knows what that means?
That's interesting.
Ebbs and flows. Oh, thank you for that. It's definitely any good questions for that section. That's Rachel. Then we are going to
I think Rachel mentioned the second report, but you just need to approve it.
Yeah, just have a look at that's actual social media bit. So on the communications policies, we need to approve the amended social media policy. So all those in favour? Carried. And to adopt a new filming and photography policy. Those in favour? It's carried as well. Thank you for that. And now we'll go on to the reports from outside organisations. Citizen Advice Member Committee, Councillor Atwell.
Okay, thank you, Chair. A quick update for members. So since Citizen Advice in 2025 got their end year figures now, which they helped over 3,000 clients in total, identified and addressed over 7,000 issues and offered 550 face-to-face appointments. Main areas of support were, quite understandably in this current climate, were income maximisation, benefits set entitlement, debt solutions, energy poverty, access to charitable support, a supermarket, food market and food bank vouchers, housing supports, social prescribing, employment issues and rights, very poor mental health, to access services and benefits, and also access to council services and other things that they needed. Homelessness applications, joining the housing register, uploading documents, applications for council tax support, housing benefit, discretionary housing benefit, blue badges, reviews and appeals. So as you can imagine, they're quite busy. Filling in PIP, attendance and carers allowance forms as well. They also offer information, advice and support with issues relating to immigration, family and relationship breakdowns and consumer rights. Our advisors help those suffering from digital exclusion access and boost clients' capability and empower them to address the challenges they face. We also signpost clients to other organisations available locally and nationally that offer further specialised support if required. The demand for our service is extremely high and I don't see it getting any better. People are struggling out there and there's nowhere else to support to for what CA does. So I think that's, you know, very important, particularly given CBC's current speculation that they may have to cut back up to 10% depending on how things go for their funding. So that needs to be taken into consideration. So they're very apprehensive about that. But apart from that, they're doing all they can, but they're run off their feet.
Michelle, you got a question?
Yeah, just a quick one. So I remember going to one of the briefings for councillors a couple of years ago. So this is all the people who actually work for them are all volunteers, aren't they? And I think they have to train for
they mostly are
years.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great dedication. That they have got full-time members, obviously, the CEO there, and Julie Atkinson, Chief Operating Officer. So they have got some full-time positions, but it's only 2 or 3.
And is that what the CBC covers, the full-time salaried staff?
Yes, well, it comes from that side, but the rest of them, they're all volunteers. So they do specialise in lots of different things from their backgrounds, from their careers. And some people are obviously starting their careers as well, so they find it as a good foundation to get their education in, to be able to then move on to other careers. So they don't have a shortage of people wanting to do it, funny enough, but so which is great.
Okay, yeah.
There has been points where they've hit low points before when people have gone or retired, but those spaces have been filled now, so they're at full capacity. I think the main challenge is really just being overwhelmed and costs, like anything.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Dunsmore International Town Twinning Association from either Councillor Hollick or...
Yes, I think my last report, I said it was somewhat dormant at the moment. It doesn't mean to say that there isn't contact with people, certainly in Germany, in ports. As I reported, I think previously, the contact with France has been sort of cut somewhat, because I think there was some sort of local government reorganisation, and that had an influence on the way that the Twinning Committee over there operated. So we are a little bit not in the know as far as France is concerned, or Bourgois-Jallieu. There has been an effort in the past to try and interest schools and clubs and local businesses, but people don't seem to be terribly interested. And on top of that, the gentleman who is the chairman is also the secretary, and he's well into his 80s, and there seems to be no other councillors who've sort of suggested they might like to come forward and join the committee. As I said at the beginning, there is a link between just person to person with members of the Ports Twinning Committee, so there is some light there. And indeed, I think the last visit, Madam Mayor and I and 1 or 2 others went last year, and I think there is another celebration in the pipeline. But also, I think it's a matter of maybe the town making contact with their counterparts and asking if there's any way in which we can cooperate and so on. So it's because the actual twinning is between the towns, and it's not, the committee is there to support the town, maybe, if we can put it that way. So perhaps a little bit of work needs to be done to try and make a little bit more contact on a more official level. I don't know.
Right, John.
On that point, I notice on my councillor profile that I'm listed as a representation on this body, but I don't think you've ever spoken to me about doing anything or being involved. But on the twinning side, I'd be quite happy to approach foreign countries to see if they would like to twin up.
Well, that's a matter of going through the British Council.
Oh, okay.
There is a proper format. Because when we linked with Bourgogne-Jallieu, we had to de-link ourselves from Brive-la-Gaillarde, and it is through British Council, as I understand it, it is an official pipeline, shall we say.
But if you'd like me to get more involved in this committee, I'd be happy to. I just, thought, well, if I'm listed, I might as well get involved.
Kind offer. I have to have a chat again with the chairman and see, because there was talk about disbanding the thing, and a few of us thought, no, we can't do that. We need to have some backup for the. But there are sort of official and there are unofficial links, aren't there? I mean, if it's mayor to mayor, then that's the official link. And if it's a visit maybe from some of the parishioners of Ports coming over, making a visit, then that's arranged more through the twinning committee. But then there's possibly a function or a welcome in the town here at town council, which we've done in the past. And I think people get a little bit mixed up sometimes of what's official and what's sort of unofficial. But really, the two should be working together.
Any questions? Oh, sorry, yeah.
I was going to say, Councillor Hollick, can we catch up maybe? And then if you can give me a bit of advice on.
Yes, certainly.
I'm very happy and keen to do that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Wait till in action for us to have a conversation.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Okay. And I was rather hoping the mayor was going to propose that we twinned with Montego Bay following her recent visit. That doesn't seem to have come up for further development.
The visit.
Yeah, if we go through the proper channels. Right, so now we've got Hospice and Home Management Committee from Councillor Wendy Bater. I've not seen any report. Okay. Although I will say that they did actually visit the St Augustine's Church recently, and one of the things they did point out was that they're quite keen for the actual carers to come forward for support, because quite often the people with the illnesses and the problem know they're going to be cared for. It's the carers who then forget to care about themselves, and they're very tied to the patient or the person they're caring for, and feel reluctant to leave them to go out and take 10 minutes to themselves. So they're still looking for a lot more people sort of come forward who need the carers support as much as the actual patient support. So yeah, if you sort of know of anyone in your areas where you can see carers are really struggling, and with hindsight, my brother-in-law was in that position with his late father, that he didn't want to leave him, and although he was in the Luton area, which I'm not quite sure how that's affected my hospice at home, but certainly in this area, they were certainly looking at carers getting the proper sort of support in them. I think the other aspect, I've lost my thought now. Yeah, so it was, recommendations to be put forward to that and sort of spreading the word. So yeah.
So on the point of offering support for carers, I know from my own experience that the organisation Carers in Bedfordshire offer support to carers. They are funded by Central Beds Council. They provide a whole range of support. Carers vouchers, for example, where a carer gets a voucher for free, maybe up to 4 hours, and then they can find another agency such as ASU Care, who then provide a carer to come in, sit with their loved one or cared for person, and then they can go out and do something. But there's a whole range of support. They also do a carer's assessment. So they assess the needs of the carer rather than the person they're caring for. And then they can suggest various things that can be provided for the carer. So I would suggest simply getting in contact with carers in Bedfordshire.
Thanks. Just remember, I was going to say, they also deal with long-term sickness cases as well. The hospice, it's not definitely end of life. It can be just long-term caring situations. That was the only other aspect on that one. So then we've got Ashton Almshouse Charity, Councillor Alderman.
Yep, so we've not met since the last meeting, but we've got a meeting on the 3rd of March, 4th of March.
Thank you. Are you doing Ashton House Foundation as well? Still
I can do the answers the same.
Thank you. Choose Foundation,
Choose. I went to the last meeting, which was on the 2nd of December, and last year, Choose, for those of you who don't know, Choose provide grant funding to children in need of school uniform and school equipment. And last year they provided just under £12,000 worth of grants to the Dunstable area, which is fantastic. I have emailed this evening Paul Hodson with a copy of the flyer for Choose, in the hope that you guys would back me in having that flyer put up in our notice boards, if possible. I don't know if I'd have to present that as a proper motion, but I'm sure we have done it before. It's just so that the notice boards, especially in Dunstable North, are right next to the schools, so people walking to school will see that you can apply for this funding, which is, it's actually really good funding for like school uniforms. It's £80 for the first child, and it's like £35 for every subsequent child up to 4. And that can be a massive help to some families.
I was just going to say on then to that committee, can that flyer be sent out to all councillors, please, as well?
Yes.
So I'd like to post that as well.
Just to build on that, is it possible that could be shared online? Because obviously we've got this comms report saying these brilliant channels we have. Just wondered if that was possible as well.
Yeah, why not?
I'm happy to second this idea.
Are these organisations also the ones that are in our Dunstable lottery? Just does anybody know?
I believe the majority are, yeah. They've certainly all been contacted.
And one or two that aren't here that aren't relevant to this committee as well, like Tyler, right?
Oh,
That would
okay.
be community services.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Paul's Land Charity.
I can comment on that. As members may remember, meets twice a year. The second time is to give out money to the to certain people within the Dunstable parish or the centre of Dunstable, throw that Maundy money. And the other meeting is prior to that, which will be very soon, to discuss how much we're going to give to each person.
Good. Lockington Charity and Marsh Charity.
I can comment on that.
Okay, thank you.
I think we did have, I mean, I took the place for Councillor Hanson, I think you remember.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was myself and Liz. Unfortunately, as Liz is no longer councillor, they need somebody to replace her. So I think we vote, is it a full council
Yeah.
or propose
Yeah.
a full council? We've not met since the last update, but we're meeting on March 10th. No, 11th of March, yeah. And then I can give an update.
They did purposely delay their meeting so that we could provide a fresh councillor in time for their next meeting.
Nice comment already. It's me next. Dunstable District Scouts. Yep, they're ticking over nicely. They're meeting regularly, and it's all performing quite well. Trying to think what this thing coming in. Oh, Christmas. Doing which this deputy mayor attending was quite a fun activity for the children attending. The snowballs, 600 snowballs this year, with flying around for several minutes, which I really loved. So that was a really good night. Then we've got Rotary Club of Dunstable. We've got lots of names down there. I've not been lately. Anyone been? Officers have been?
Not been since John spoke middle of the autumn.
Yeah, I think that's when I was there.
I keep intending to go, and then Tuesday lunchtimes are quite tricky.
And I certainly
Is
went
it
in
every
September and
Tuesday?
gave a talk.
Almost every Tuesday lunchtime, yeah.
Yeah, because they've stopped doing the early. They're not doing the breakfast ones now, are they? It's just the lunch, isn't it? Wednesday, Tuesday lunch, isn't it? I'd try and book myself in for one of those because my Tuesdays are freer than they used to be. Okay. Right, that concludes the main business. We're now going to go into exclusion of the press and public. So it's recommended in terms of Schedule 12A Local Government Act 1970. Just read the whole thing. So all those in favour of going into excluding the press and public, that's carried. If we can stop the recording.